Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. Today we're going to talk about the art of receiving. An important lesson took me a long time to learn in order to receive any level of prosperity. I discovered this particularly from teachings by Catherine Ponder that emphasized the importance of being open to receive. If I would go to dinner and somebody'd say, "Hey, let me get you dinner," I would say, "Oh no, I got this." Because I am always a giving person, and I always feel if I receive something that I'm put into their debt. This is something that I was taught when I was young, and as a result, my general attitude blocked me from receiving because I perceived that if I received something, it would result in a debt, even if it wasn't. It was a subconscious block for me for a long time. So I had to learn the art of receiving. You may have something similar. It is a very nuanced part of prosperity. Oftentimes, you can make the money that you want. You're simply not open to receiving it. And you may not discover this unless you look deep within your subconscious mind. So what I want to focus on is, how much are you willing to receive? Receiving the greatness of who you truly are. The art of receiving without judgment. And tools to enhance your ability to receive money and everything else. Over the many episodes on prosperity through the channel, I think I've established that money is actually easy to attract. There is an abundance of money and resources, a never-ending supply. It is only unwillingness to receive that makes these things hard to obtain. We have learned from episodes and books that we've read, from all the way to the beginning of the podcast, that many people have wounds and negative beliefs about money. We continue to see this in the comments that people will make on the money-oriented episodes. The wounds and the beliefs have different storylines, but their effects and consequences are always the same. They prevent money from flowing effortlessly through your life. We have discovered that money is never the problem. The problem is your unwillingness to receive, which is a byproduct of the way you think about money or about yourself. I came to understand the source of my own and of most people's money problems when reading Catherine Ponder. Catherine Ponder helped me to understand my own state of affairs around money. Receiving is the problem, and you are the solution, is what she taught. The issue is not money. The problem is that you're not willing to receive into your life what you want. The main thing you're unwilling to receive is the greatness of you. Not just the money, but the awesomeness of you. Unwillingness to receive the greatness of you is the problem. I found this intriguing. So what is it going to take for you to receive the greatness of who you are? I was inspired by this idea that what we are willing to receive determines the amount of money we can have in our lives. It is essential to look at what we are unwilling to receive, because this determines the amount of money you are willing to have. If you look deeply, it will become obvious that the willingness to receive everything is essential if you desire to create wealth. It is also indispensable if you wish to keep your wealth. After really pondering this and realizing that my inability to receive was blocking me, then I realized that I was the only one that knew what was stopping me. I would only be able to get the truth of the issue once I acknowledged that receiving is the problem, and I am the solution. So I want you to ask yourself a question. What about you are you unwilling to receive? If you are willing, that would allow you to have the totality of you. Now begin to look at what you are unwilling to receive in general. Just think about it. I discovered that I was blocking myself from receiving money in the same ways that I was blocking myself from receiving many other things in my life and in my work. Becoming aware of what you are unwilling to receive about yourself will soon become a new frontier for you as you begin to focus on this. The main thing you are unwilling to receive is the greatness of who you are, your God self, your power. If you are willing to receive the uniqueness and the greatness of you and willing to allow the world and everyone to see the uniqueness and the greatness and awesomeness of you, the world will then gift to you what you truly deserve. Now ask yourself, what would it take for that to happen? You have to have a willingness to perceive and receive yourself differently. This is the beginning of creating what you truly desire in your life. That's the place where you have to begin. As I thought about it, I got insight into how I was unwilling to receive the uniqueness and the greatness of me. Not only was I unwilling to receive my greatness, I was actually rejecting, negating, and denying my own uniqueness. I didn't want to be different or stand out from the crowd. I was doing everything possible to hide my power. I assumed it was virtuous to be modest, humble, and understated. I thought that the only other alternative was to be obnoxious and full of myself, so I didn't allow for me to receive the greatness of myself. I had personally misidentified and misapplied the notions of humility and modesty. I had been taught during my early years by my parents to avoid being conceited, boastful, and self-serving. I was conditioned to turn away from self-acknowledgement and avoid talking about my achievements. I thought it was a good thing to be unassuming and modest about my talents and abilities. I did not want to serve myself, and I was taught by my parents not to do that, and so I confused the issue. So I began to ask myself this question: what am I unwilling to receive about the greatness of me? At first, I felt I was being kind of wrong or immodest and self-centered. And I began to soon learn that I needed to get over myself. This broke down the idea that I needed to conceal my power. This is prior to me doing my podcast or in writing my book. I had knowledge about things, I had services to offer, I had things I could do, but I thought it would be conceited of me to do those things. My reaction was, it's not arrogant to receive the greatness of me? Could I really do that without appearing audacious and conceited? I'd utterly bought into the lie that there would be negative consequences if I were to put myself out there, if I let myself be seen as confident or magnificent or glorious. I had suppressed my confidence and potency because I thought it was improper, obnoxious, and conceited to be powerful. I had bought these lies and limitations as I was growing up, and then I created my life based on them. I was constantly hiding my power, keeping my talents and gifts hidden from others and from myself. Once I became aware of what I was unwilling to receive about myself, I was able to stop pretending that I was weak or pale or uninteresting. I saw that for me to have something glorious and magnificent in my life, I had to develop a more conscious attitude toward my body and myself. I had to be willing to receive myself in totality without judgment. I had to be as unconventional and weird and unusual and outrageous as I truly am, no matter how uncomfortable that might be at first, and especially in regards to what other people think. I had to stop equivocating and choose myself, even though I wanted to avoid being selfish, no matter what. The place where I had to start was the willingness to perceive and receive myself differently. I had to stop stifling and suppressing my talents and abilities. Suppression was the way I used to manipulate and control myself. Freedom began with the willingness to receive the greatness of who I truly am, not just to wishfully think about it, but to actually experience it. This was related to my drinking. I would drink to block out those particular desires or my regrets. I had to truly live who I am right here, right now, instead of thinking about who I am as something outside of me and something that I had to manage or something that I would like to do in the future. When I started receiving the greatness of who I was, then everything in my life started to transform, including my financial situation. Since then, I've had an array of extraordinary experiences and have received money, which have further transformed my view of myself and of my potential. My question is, has anything like this happened to you? How many times have you refused to receive the greatness of who you truly are because you thought it was inappropriate or improper, because you did not want to be ridiculed? How much more could you have if you were willing to receive the greatness of who you truly are? Acknowledge your unwillingness to receive the greatness of who you truly are, and of all the talents and abilities and awareness that you previously decided you couldn't have. Will you now claim and own them and destroy and uncreate everything that doesn't allow them to exist? One word of warning: if you choose to practice receiving the greatness of who you truly are, you have to be willing to be seen for who you really are. You have to be willing to receive anything from anybody. You have to be willing to receive compliments, accolades, and admiration, as well as criticism, disapproval, and ridicule. You don't have to buy the responses as real. You just have to be willing to receive it all without judging yourself or others. I have made the willingness to receive everything without judgment the guiding principle in my life. I practiced in how I expressed my business, in all different businesses, my book business. If I was experiencing a limitation or a difficulty in my life, whether it had to do with work or family or relationships with clients or business dealings, or even relationships and interactions with my wife, I know that there has to be something that I'm not willing to receive. One of the great insights I've had using this teaching is that in order to create any kind of limitation, I realize that I have to cut off my receiving. It is only what I have decided I cannot receive that limits what I can have in life. I have learned that if anything in our lives is not working, it is because I am unwilling to perceive, know, be, or receive something. When I notice that I feel limited, I make it a practice to become more receptive and vigilant. I catch myself in the act of resisting or reacting to something and ask myself this question: what am I unwilling to receive here? In practicing this, I discovered that there was not any one particular point of view or theme or subject that I was unwilling to receive. It was a myriad of things. Asking myself, what am I unwilling to receive, has allowed me to become more aware of my fixed points of view about my reality and how wealth can be created. Being open and willing to receive everything with gratitude and without judgment has allowed me to expand my awareness and ability to access infinite possibilities beyond my previous experience. I've been able to create a highly successful business and channel, as well as RealityCon seminars, products, which in turn have created expansion of consciousness through my art. More customers, more money has flowed to me through this process. But more importantly, I have learned to navigate the world with ease and joy and an exuberant expression of life. How does it get better than this? What else is possible? So it brings me to an understanding. It took me a long time, and I still struggle with it, is being willing to receive everything and to lose everything. I have noticed that when I am willing to receive everything and also willing to lose everything, then I expand my capacity to overcome the inevitable obstacles and see things through. The willingness to receive everything without judgment is an art. Its skilled practice takes a great deal of discipline, immense dedication, and powerful determination. I have found that when I am willing to receive everything, I have the benefit of enjoying everything as it is. There is no need to alter or change anything. I advocate a lifelong exploration of the willingness to receive everything without judgment. This practice requires me to live with total awareness. I have discovered that in order to stick with this practice, I have to do 3 things. First of all, develop the discipline to notice the times when I'm refusing to receive. And once I started doing that, I realized a lot of times I'm refusing to receive. Secondly, to build the dedication to persevere until greater awareness becomes embedded. And third, to discover within myself the strong determination for a conscious way of being. I've had to step up and become more than what I had been willing to be in the past. This has required the willingness to be more in every respect. I had to stop refusing to be who and what I truly am. I had to be willing to put myself out there in a way that I am not willing to before. I've had to be willing to be controversial and to stir the pot. I've had to defy and defeat and destroy those old erroneous definitions of myself, of each other, and of business in general. Once I made a demand of myself to receive the greatness of us, then our business started to expand and thrive more than I could have imagined. I created more products, more clients, more services, more opportunities, and more income. After I made the willingness to receive everything without judgment the guiding philosophy in my life, my level of perception and clarity and insight took a gigantic leap forward. The willingness to receive everything without judgment is the dynamic power that gives us the audacity, confidence, strength, and courage to do what I want with my life, to see things through, and to overcome the inevitable obstacles. As soon as I chose to practice the willingness to receive everything, I became willing to be more unconventional and controversial in my work. I talked about notions and concepts and practices not often heard about in normal business. My business started to expand exponentially because I was willing to be more. I was willing to do things that shifted other people's thinking. I was willing to receive everything, including judgment and criticism, which was the hardest part for me, no matter what it looked like. One reason I had not started my channel or other aspects of my business was I didn't want judgment or criticism. What are you unwilling to receive? Look at what you're unwilling to receive. In truth, if anything in your life is not working, it's because there's something you're unwilling to receive. You may even discover that you are unwilling to receive money. When I coach people to shift out of their scarcity paradigm into prosperity consciousness, one thing I notice time after time is that their ability to create unlimited amounts of money is conditioned by 2 factors: the point of view they have about money and a willingness to receive it. I've discovered that the amount of money a person has created in their life is proportionate to the willingness or unwillingness to receive it. Let's put it another way. People's willingness to receive money is conditioned by the point of view they have about how money can flow into their lives. People's ability to receive and create money resides only in the points of view they have bought as true. The common viewpoint that many of you have about money is it is not good to have too much, and it is not a good thing to receive from others. This viewpoint expresses an unwillingness to receive from anywhere. Very often, people's unwillingness to receive directs the course of their behavior and actions. What you constantly focus on plays a key role in facilitating what, when, where, why, and how money can show up in your physical world. An important step in cultivating the willingness to receive everything without judgment is developing the willingness to claim and own the capacity to receive, even though you may have no idea what that means or what will be coming to you. A key part of being willing to receive everything is to stop resisting and reacting to any interaction you or anyone else has. When you catch yourself resisting and reacting, ask yourself the following question: what am I unwilling to receive here? What ideas or viewpoints have I created that are stopping me from receiving? These ideas and viewpoints may seem meaningful, significant, or even sacred to you. It may be challenging for you to actually look at them. Ask yourself, what would it be like to receive from everybody without judgment? What would it be like to receive from everybody without any point of view? The thing that most limited my capacity to receive was judgment. I noticed that whenever I went into judgment about anything, whether it was a positive judgment or a negative judgment, I stopped myself from receiving anything that didn't match that judgment. I discovered that every judgment I had about what money meant to me created parameters around what I could receive. The most limited and absurd judgment I had about money was it's taboo to talk about money. I used to see money as part of something I did not understand. I was brought up to believe that discussing money was offensive and in bad taste. I bought an erroneous point of view that money was a personal subject, like politics, that shouldn't be discussed and certainly shouldn't be taught or talked about in public. I used to feel embarrassed and frustrated and uncomfortable when I had to talk about wealth and money, even on the podcast. From the moment I chose the path of conscious prosperity, I knew that when I resisted thinking or talking about money, then I was declaring to the universe my unwillingness to receive it. Here's the bottom line. When I avoided talking about money or even thinking about it, I was creating barriers to receiving it. My reluctance and resistance was really a receiving issue. Not only that, but it took a huge amount of energy to keep my judgments about money in place. Until I was able to feel good about having money and plenty of it, I would not be able to receive it. Once I recognized that, I asked myself two questions: what do I want and what feels best? I realized that I had to choose to be greater than I had been willing to be. I made a demand of myself. I chose to stop putting up barriers to receiving money and to claim and own my ability to talk about money with ease. That decision started the process of becoming excited and wholehearted about seeing the value of me, my life, and my work. I chose to be elated about the way I could help people benefit from my services and products in whatever business that I was in. You are the only one who knows what is stopping you from receiving money. You can use the questions I've given you to help discover the points of view that are preventing you from receiving unlimited amounts of money. So ask yourself, what am I absolutely unwilling to receive that if I were willing would manifest as total abundance? What am I unwilling to receive that would allow more money into my life? What are the defining elements of my reality with money? If I had a lot of money, what would I be that I am currently unwilling to be? Now, the willingness to do something is not the same as actually doing it. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to create a huge amount of money? If I ask you that question, and of course, when I just made that statement, most of you responded, of course. So if I were to ask you, would you kill someone for money? Or would you do prostitution for money? Most of you would respond with a firm conviction, no. You choose prostitution as an example, as most people have a lot of judgment attached to it. They will often react to a question like this in an unconscious, judgmental manner. This example shows that we often misidentify the willingness to do something with the actual doing it. When you say you would not do something, whatever it may be, it indicates that you have a judgment that is wrong, bad, improper, or indecent. However, when you are willing to do something, you let go of all your points of view about it and truly choose. If the decision to not do prostitution is made from choice, then it is a conscious choice. If it is made from a fixed point of view, an unwillingness to receive all the judgments and everything else that might be associated with prostitution, then it is an unconscious choice. This is an example to illustrate the difference between conscious choice and unconscious choice, meaning the unconscious choice is no way, I would never do that, or the conscious choice is I would be willing to prostitute but choose not to. I want you to learn to make the conscious choice that it is in the best interest of all and with the free will of all, not the unconscious choice. Here are some questions that will help you to look at your decisions regarding what you're not willing to receive money for or what you would not be willing to do for money. Please give this a try. Is there anything you would not be willing to do for money? What kind of work or activity can you not imagine yourself doing? What projections, expectations, and judgments do you have that create an I can't do it mentality? I'm not telling you be a prostitute or a hitman. I'm telling you to be aware that there are things that you would not do for money, and oftentimes some of those judgments are unconscious, and if they're unconscious, it can affect other things. When we are willing to receive everything, then we release attachment to the emotions, events, or judgments that obstruct our awareness, so we have a greater clarity about what is possible. I'm not saying that you have to make unfortunate choices to be open to receive. I'm just asking you to think about these things. I'm asking you to open your mind to receive. Why should you deliberately open your mind to receive? Because most of us have endured a narrow existence for no good reason. We have blocked our good from getting through to us in the process. There's nothing divine about what Catherine Ponder calls pinched existence. There's nothing divine about a narrow, limited way of life. It proves nothing but the foolishness and ignorance of man who actually lives in a universe of lavish abundance. Anyone who lives in a pinched, narrow existence is not expressing their true nature. They are only cheating themselves. The word receive means to accept. Psychologists tell us that we can have anything we can mentally accept, but that we must mentally accept it first. A great part of the art of receiving is to accept the good you want mentally rather than fighting it mentally. Catherine Ponder tells of meeting a young businessman at a book autographing party. They asked, "Are all of those success stories in your books factual? Aren't some of them fabricated?" "Why do you ask?" she said. "Because they sound too good to be true." "Just how long have you been reading about the power of prosperous thinking?" Ponder inquired. "Oh, only about a month," he said. This sort of explained his disbelief. He was still conditioned by the limited beliefs of the world that he had not yet learned. Nothing is too good to be true. Have you found yourself saying, "There's no way I'm going to get that. It's not going to happen. It's impossible"? Every success story that you hear from Neville Goddard or Joseph Murphy or Catherine Ponder, there are scores of even more. All those success stories, and there are thousands now that we've documented, are the results of prosperous thinking. And they're so numerous, there's no way we could ever relate them all. They're in the millions and billions, right? So nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to happen. Nothing is too good to last. Open your mind to receive by telling God what you want instead of constantly telling people. Telling people what you want can dissipate your good because God is the source of your supply, not people. Although people, ideas, and opportunities are all channels of your supply, God is the source because He or she creates those ideas and opportunities. Through the law of attraction, He helps attract the appropriate people and circumstances to you to help expedite your ideas and opportunities through which your good can come to pass. So another statement that you can say, I do not depend on persons or conditions for my good. God is the source of my supply, and God provides His own amazing channels of good to me now. Giving is a part of receiving. Giving is really the first step in receiving. When you want to receive, then I recommend that you give. You start to understand the dynamics of receiving by the way that people receive from you. We've talked about giving in other episodes. You can give to God, you can give to yourself, and you can give to others. All of them are the same. When you do this, get ready to receive. You can get ready to receive by preparing to receive. There are those who say, I give, but I do not expect to receive, and they do not receive. This is tough. Jesus teaches us to give without expecting to receive, right? Catherine Ponder does teach that you should be open to receiving as you give. She gives a story of a woman who said, I teach a prosperity class in my home, but I do not take an offering. I give, but I do not believe I should expect to receive. And she didn't. She resented not receiving. She should have resented not receiving because she was unbalancing the law of increase by giving and not by opening the way to receive. So don't cheat yourself because you don't think it's appropriate. It is okay for you to receive, and you can charge handsomely for what you do. Another thing that you need to let go of is the false idea that your receiving stops anyone else's receiving. There's more than enough to go around. There is no competition. And by receiving, you're not taking anything from anyone. We live in a lavish universe, and there is plenty for all. Catherine Ponder recommends that after you pray, after you meditate, that you prepare to receive. Speak the word of receiving. This is how she said it. When you daily declare that you are receiving, your words make a believer out of your subconscious mind, which then starts working with you to help make it so. So declare daily, I am receiving. I'm receiving now. I'm receiving all the wealth that the universe has for me. All that is mine by divine right now comes to me, speedily, richly, freely. I am receiving now. So after speaking the word of receiving, declare that you have received it. As we learn from Neville Goddard, assume that it has happened. So we can take that teaching and learn that we will declare that we have received it, and then we release it. Assume that greater good is always yours since you have claimed it on the inner plane of your mind. I believe this helps the good appear on the outer plane as visible. So when you've reached this point where you have prepared yourself to receive, then also say, it is finished, it is done, I give thanks that I have received, and that my good appears in rich, appropriate form under divine timing. What is it that you're not willing to receive? What is it that you have not received because you blocked it? Open yourself to the channels that are available to you to receive. In order to drink the water, you have to open your mouth and let the water in. And money is the same thing. You have to be okay with it. You have to accept it, and you have to receive it. So the next time that you go to dinner and someone says, hey, let me get the bill, thank them. And accept what they are offering you to receive it. You're not doing anything wrong. It's okay. Just do it once. Get into the mindset that it's okay to receive. You're not being given any charity, something my dad might teach. Don't accept any charity. You got to work hard for what you receive. right? A lot of you have this belief. And because of that, you have this idea that you can't receive money easily. You got to work hard for it. So when people come along and say, I want to give this to you, you refuse to receive it because of some deep teaching that you had in your past. You will have whatever amount of prosperity you're willing to receive. Open yourself to receiving. Lay the groundwork to receiving what it is you want, and let it flow to you. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.